everybody, welcome back to another episode of Happiness Matters, the show with me, Beanie Man, and Mo the service dog, who doesn't know what he wants to do, because it's Mo. Today I have an awesome guest here, and actually I just hired Gary to be my coach, because even coaches need coaches. And so Gary Barnes, with Gary Barnes International, is here, and we met not networking. I actually went to your boot camp in August for the first time, and I got there because I have a lot of attitude. I don't know if I shared that story with you.
No, but people with attitude normally, connect. So
hey,
that's not unusual.
Birds of a feather and all,
That's right.
But here's what it was. So Michelle Moras works with you too, and Michelle and I are friends. And some of the people that she hangs out with, your name kept coming up, and the boot camp, and this and that. And they're like, "Oh, Beanie, you should go." And I'm like, "Nah," because I have attitude. I was like, people tell me all the time I should do this, that, and the other, and I'm like, no. And I used to jump right in, and then, buyer's remorse right afterwards, and then I withdraw. So now what I do is I think about it.
You think about it?
I think about it.
You ponder.
I ponder. Because I have attitude, I put out because it keeps coming up. And I get it when the universe gives me signals over and over with the 2x4, like, wham, get it now. I said, fine, you want me to go to this thing? Give me a discounted ticket.
And what happened?
As you wish. The universe delivered. Well, you delivered. And, of course, I was, fine, here's my money. And I'm so glad I went. And I was really there observing. Because that's what I do these days. I take it in first a little bit, But I have to say, when I got there, and it's a 3-day thing, all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I got there late Friday because I had other stuff going on in the morning, and it was in Denver. And I remember walking in that room, the energy in there, because I'm all about energy. The energy in there was amazing.
And so many people tell me they come just to check it out and to see if it's legitimate. And I've had a number of people say that they were doing it to be able to see what I'm doing so they could duplicate it in their program. And they, after a while, like at the first break, they came up and they said, we're no longer taking notes about what you're doing, we're taking notes about what you're saying. And they became a participant instead of just more of an auditor. Right.
And I was like, wow. The only thing I didn't do, and I know I will do it next time, is the board breaking.
Yep.
I wasn't ready for that. And plus, I was really wobbly that day too, and I had Mo with me, and it's like, I was still taking it, but I have my board.
And there's different ways to do that.
I have my board. I will have my husband hold it for me.
There you go.
And then I'll do it.
Nice.
He doesn't know it yet, but...
Yeah. Well, we say yes, dear, a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
And he says yes, dear, a lot. He's like, yeah. Yes. Well, actually, he doesn't say yes, dear. He says, yes, my love. And coffee every morning in bed doesn't hurt. I'm spoiled. But anyway, so I sat through the boot camp. I was really amazed. And then, of course, you were talking about the speaker boot camp that you and Michelle were putting together. And again, I was like, ooh, I want to do this. And I waited because I had to think on it. Because I'm making myself not jump in anymore.
And that's really smart.
Thank you.
So much of the time we get so excited at an event, and I don't know about those that are watching, but then we do have that buyer's remorse.
Right.
We wondered why we were doing it, or maybe we even overextended, and now we're putting extra additional pressure. And I really look at something called timing and does it fit? Is it the right timing? Is it something that is in, conjunction now with where you are, where you're going, and is it usable?
Right.
Because if it's not, then it's no longer an investment. It's spending.
Right.
And I'd rather see people that, my goal always, no matter what I'm doing, is when we engage, that they're better off and have the tools and the implementation skills so that they can actually change their business, their life, whatever it is that they want to adjust, as soon as they leave me, not months or years or down the road. And that just gives me a lot of joy. And so it's not press R3 copies ever.
No. And I just love the whole thing, and there's never, I've been to a bazillion of events. And it's always buy my stuff, and oh yeah, here, there's another person, buy my stuff, and it's just one ginormous sales pitch. There's like this much meat, and this much pitch.
Yeah.
And with your event, there was this much pitch, this much meat.
And I have gotten in trouble with my coaches, my personal coaches, and they have always told me that I'm giving way too much information, too much meat. And, you know, again, one of my early clients had given me what's called the bikini effect. And I hope I don't offend anybody, you'll get the hate mail. But it's a woman that gave this to me, so I always give somebody the credit. But the bikini effect, where women give away the 90% of the visual, but the men still buy the 10%.
Right.
And in marketing, why aren't we giving away our good stuff? Why are we, you know, holding that good stuff back and teasing with something that might be okay? Because in my mind, there's three types of people in the world. There's the people that are always going to be the do-it-yourselfers, the people that really don't need you and I, you know, in their lives. They're taking the information.
But yes, we do, because I've been one of those
okay.
up until now,
Okay.
and I realized I can go on my own this far.
Yes.
But now it's like to go further and actually get what I really want. I realized now is the time.
And the difference is the implementation side. And then the middle group is the people that think they're do-it-yourselfers, and they get into the situation and find out, oh, the roadmap is a little more complicated than I thought it was, and then they come back to...
You mean it's not a straight line?
Well, it could be, but, you know, a straight line into what?
Yeah, that's that too.
You know, the other individual is people like me, because I want to stay at my core. I want the help, I want the because I want the results faster. And so, but it doesn't matter. By giving away your good stuff right up front, it makes it so equitable for the investment for anyone. Particularly, I mean, think about it. The people that are watching this episode today, what is the most valuable asset that they are either spending or investing right now?
Their time.
Their time. And it's the one asset that we cannot get back.
Right, and we cannot borrow from, unless you have AT&T and you have rollover. I'm just kidding. I don't even know if they're still doing that.
No, they're just saying, what you don't use, you lose. But the thing is that, you know, whenever you and I do things, and I've known you long enough to where I know that you feel the same way, because we have an obligation, a responsibility to individuals when they invest that time with us for the return on that investment, because they can't get it back.
Exactly.
And, you know, that is something that I've always kept in mind, because maybe it's because we're getting older too, or I'm getting older, I don't know about you.
We're getting wiser.
Well, that too, hopefully.
Just run with it.
So it's something that, you know, it really, you're building a community. You're building a legacy.
A family, and again, it's like the people in the room. I mean, the energy was through the roof. But it was good through the roof, it wasn't that rah-rah.
Right.
There's none of that rah-rah, because that's what gets you into that impulse buying and all that regret, you know. But with yours, I was like, wow. And I think before the session ended on Friday, I was like, wow, these are my people. These are my people. And see, I pull out my pendulum a lot, and I ask my pendulum, because I know it's connected to my higher self and looking out for my highest good. I said, do I need to sign up with Gary for coaching? It was a big no at that time. I'm like, fine. Because I have attitude, you know, fine. It's like, okay. And then, you know, the speaker boot camp came around. And I was like, okay, you want me to go? Fine. Give me the good price. As you wish. Got the good price. So I went. And oh my gosh, it was amazing. Of course, I mean, I asked my pendulum too, should I go? And it was a big yes. Not just a little yes, I mean, it was like, knock me out of my, yes, you know. And then at the speaker boot camp, Saturday night, I was sitting in my room, and the coaching came back up. And I'm like, okay. I pulled out my pendulum, and this time it was, yes, now is the time.
And that goes back to the timing element.
Right. Yeah. And so looking back, it's like, oh, no is not always no, it's just not right now.
Correct.
You know, and I wasn't ready. Was it a week apart, 2 weeks apart, 3 weeks apart?
Oh, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, I wasn't ready 2 weeks earlier. But what I've learned then with the speaker boot camp and everything, it's like, okay, now is the time. Now is the time. And I'm so excited.
Well, I'm so, you know, you are one of those individuals that you have this infectious personality.
Oh, thank you.
And you're so easy to work with, and you're one of
Thanks.
those dream type clients, and that's what I look for in a client.
Okay.
Whether it's one of those people hear about this, but they don't think it's sometimes real. I interview you as much as you interview me,
Oh, I know because I paid attention at your boot camp.
and it's I want to make sure it's a good fit for both,
Right.
because that's the only way that it's going to actually have a benefit for you at the other end.
Right.
Because I just had a referral, someone come in and I actually did that, and it wasn't going to be a good fit, and they were a little bit disappointed, but when I facilitated to another person, they saw why.
Mm.
And so, yeah.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome. And then the other thing that what struck me when I walked in, when I got my welcome package, I got this little beaver. And then I looked around, everybody had a freaking beaver.
Yes.
And then there was this gigantic beaver, and I'm just sitting there going, what the freak? What the fire truck is with this beaver? And then Gary shared his story.
Yep.
And you actually wrote a book too, How a Beaver Saved My Life, and I was like, what? And I didn't know anything about you before I went. I just knew that I had to be there because, the universe kept kicking me and nudging me there. So I love your beaver story, and I would love for you to share that with my viewers if it's okay with you.
Oh, I'd be happy to. When I speak on stages and I haven't had time in the speech, in the talk for the Beaver story, often they bring me back up and they said, you have to do the Beaver story. I'm okay. But, the Beaver story is really an adversity story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when I wrote the book, I wrote it in the adversity mindset, because we all have something to overcome.
Oh, yeah.
And some of us have things that are more visible than others.
Mm-hmm.
But back in 1988, around this time of year, it was right before Thanksgiving, we had our first snow. And the first snow in Colorado is normally really wet and heavy.
It sucks.
It does. It's a 4-letter word. And so before we had moved here about 4 years before that from California. So in California, we see snow in the mountains, but we never have to deal with it.
Yep, it's there.
It's over there. It looks pretty. We can go up there if we want to. But I thought I'd go out and shovel the snow before the family got home. And I took about the third shovelful, and as I pulled it up, there was a jabbing pain in my right palm. I mean, it was like somebody did a hot poker in it.
Kind of like you broke the stick and it just went.
Yeah, it just like, it was searing. And so in my normal man side, probably, I just said, well, I just probably pulled a muscle. I did something because I'm doing something a little abnormal. But it started to subside. And I figured, okay, I can go ahead and finish the shoveling. But by the time I was done, that pain had turned into numbness.
Oh,
and that
never
numbness
good.
had come up my right arm across my chest, down my left arm, down my chest, down to my feet, my toes.
Oh, wow.
So I was.
See, I'm thinking heart attack, like massive.
No, I wasn't seeing heart attack. I wasn't seeing anything because it was numb. I had lost the ability to write, to walk, really.
Oh, wow.
I could place my feet, but I didn't tell anybody. Because I went to bed that night, even though my wife worked for one of the local hospitals. And I just figured that I'd be okay the next morning, get up, and everything would be fine. And so I woke up the next morning, and sometimes we do what I now call inventory, where we're checking things out. Does this work? Does that work? And I thought I'd test it, and I jumped out of bed and
Face
face right under the floor. And
That's scary.
My dear wife, well, I was more embarrassed than scared.
Because you're a guy, I would have been more scared than,
But I look at my wife, or she looks down at me and she goes, what are you doing? Because I'm a little bit.
Checking for dust bunnies, honey.
Yeah, that's really what I said. I was checking the vacuuming. But, I was the one doing the vacuuming. But I had to confess what had happened the day before. And she had me with our primary care doctor within an hour. And as I walked in, and he, did a couple of things, and it just looked at me with those kind of sad doctor eyes that you can get, and he goes, I'm sorry, Gary, there's nothing that I can do for you. You're going to see the man upstairs. And I'm going, oh, no, Doc, no.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
When he saw my face, I think he saw my kind of, what are you saying? And he said, oh, no, you're going to see the neurologist on the second floor. You know,
Don't you hate it when they do that?
you know, and he didn't do it on purpose. He didn't think it was funny, but you know, it's just like, oh. And so I go up and see the neurologist, and they are famous for, and you've had MRIs. They're famous for poking and whatever. And he actually said, we have a brand new test. It turned out to be an MRI. I had one of the very first MRIs ever in the state of Colorado.
Wow.
It was in the back of an 18-wheel tractor trailer.
Wow, we feel safe and secure.
Oh, yeah.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, and it was at midnight Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, the bottom line, I thought we could, you know, wait till after the holidays. And finally I asked him, what are you looking for? And he said, you either have a brain tumor, cancer, or multiple sclerosis. And I went, this is you and I, because I literally said, I want door number 4. And he said, go home, don't worry about it, do the test. I did. Sunday night,
They always tell you, don't worry
I
about
know,
it.
don't worry about it. But, you know, Sunday night the phone rings, and it was one of the, in the day where the phone was on the wall, and had the one of those long
Oh, with the
cords.
long cords, yeah.
Yeah, and my wife answers it, and she says that so-and-so, Dr. So-and-so. And I felt very special, because the doctor was calling me, until I realized that probably wasn't good news. And I get on the phone, he says, I want to see you and your wife in my office tomorrow. I know, you know, it's my day off, but I want to see you. And I said, well, what did you find? He goes, don't worry about it. We'll talk tomorrow morning. You know, it was one of the longest nights of my life.
I bet.
You know, I was right in the middle of my financial planning career. I had built it to the top 3% in production in the country. My kids were 7 and 9. I mean, I had all, you know,
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I didn't have it on my calendar.
Right.
And going to see the doc the next morning, and he took an hour to tell us everything that it wasn't. And finally I just stopped him and said, hey, tell me I can handle it. He said, well, you still have 3 choices, MS, MS, or MS. And I actually got excited because I figured, okay, this is something I can deal with. Okay, doc, what can we do? And he goes, literally, there's nothing we can do. You can do steroids, we can treat some of the symptoms, but my prognosis is you will be dead or in a wheelchair in 10 years. And so go home and enjoy whatever life you have left, and enjoy the family.
Go enjoy life with that diagnosis. But yeah.
And I literally told him, and here's one of the things I want everybody to really catch. I have never ever said I had anything. And instinctively I've always said I was diagnosed with. And that's when I had no feelings from the neck down. The doctor said it was a label, and I chose not to accept the label of where it would take me. And I looked at the doctor and I said, well, you know what, it's got to catch me, I'm not waiting around for it. And so I went home, and I was thinking about some of the things that I knew with Norman Cousins that used laugh therapy to put his situation into remission. Back in the day, the game, Pac-Man, where eat up the bad cancer cells for cancer patients. And it really wasn't anything that was something that was resonating with me. And I'm laying there, and all of a sudden the image of a beaver shows up. And I'm going, a beaver, it's a rodent. You know, come on.
Right? Like,
Eagles have always been my animal. I mean, I have eagles all over my office. And
well, now you have beavers too.
now I have beavers too, they're friends. But in my, you know, as you can tell, I'm very visual.
Oh yeah.
He came over and turned around and took his tail and started patching up the myelin sheath. And that's the coating that dissolves, and for whatever reason...
It's around the nerve strands.
And then they touch and short out, just like an electric wire.
Right. And actually, real quick, the myelin sheath is actually what gets the information through faster, because some of our nerve strands need to transmit information way faster than others. And with MS, that's what gets attacked.
And so I'm just slow now, or slower, but not really.
I tell people, it's like, hang on, let me connect my dots.
There you go. So I thought, well, hey, it can't hurt. And the next night he came back, and the next night he came back. And literally, I'm the kind of guy, if one beaver is good, more is better. And so I expanded the visualization to eventually I had workmen working 24 hours a day, 3 shifts. I had workmen, I had payroll offices, I had foremen. I had everybody working just to patch up the myelin sheath. And then I started feeling guilty that I wasn't doing anything for them. So I expanded it again to where we had shopping centers and parks and schools and shopping centers, and the whole 9 yards. But
That's awesome.
I would stay into this visualization for 2.5 to 3 hours a night. I'd go to sleep this way. And all the while I was still numb from the neck down. I had my neurologist just thought I was nuts, but time went by. It was about 6 to 8 months. I started getting a little feeling back. It's never come completely back. I have like stone hands. I have fallen off stages. I have challenges, but just like everyone. But a friend of mine in the insurance industry said, "You don't act normal," and so
Define normal anyway.
Yeah, I know. But he wanted me to go do the MRI again, which is so much fun. And
but they improved a little bit since your first one, hadn't they?
I actually there was a building.
Oh, see, there's improvement.
Improvement. And so had a new neurologist at the MS Center in Denver, and he had the film of both MRIs. And what it showed was 95% of the lesions, the scar tissue, which doesn't go away, was no longer there.
That's nice.
And he said, that's impossible. And so...
Clearly not.
And he wanted to see me every 6 months, and I've never been back. You know, that's just like, man, don't need to be your guinea pig.
Right.
But the thing is, people have asked me, how did I heal myself? And I don't believe I did. What I believe is, you know, the human body, we have this magnificent machine that we've been given. And I rewired myself. I do things differently now. Just, you know, it's what is my new normal? How do I get to do what I get to do instead of... Now there's certain things, I used to boulder, which is climbing on big gigantic rocks that are the size of houses and jump and whatever. I don't do that anymore because I would die. But I've flown a P-51, I climb 14,000 foot mountains, I speak around the world, I do all the things. I have 9 books out, I don't type, this is tweakly, I don't have feelings. I've spoken them, I use dragon. So you find out that proverb of when you come against an obstacle or a mountain, you can go over it, around it, through it, or plant your flag right there, and it's okay. Be done. And, you know, that's really the message. I don't see it as, the message is, or I'm the subject but not the message, and that's how I wrote the book and how I tell the story from stage. But whatever it is that's in a person's life, and it really doesn't matter what it is, what is our reaction to it? What is it that we can do instead of focusing on what we can't do, what we lost? I remember laying in bed one night thinking about the losses, which, you know, I went, uh-oh. But one of the thoughts was, I would never feel the skin of my wife's again in the same way. But then right after that, the thought came immediately, but at least I'm here to be with her. Right. So was it good enough? And so we just passed 45 years.
Congratulations.
See, I wasn't supposed to, the demographic, if you will, I was a male, which I was out of the norm, and I was 33 years old when it happened. And so, you know, 10 years, you know, I passed that, and what I'd say now is I'm on bonus time. But
I like bonus time.
I love bonuses. And so, but it gives us that appreciation for every day, and what, I never liked to run, and now I want to run, and when I run I get like 3 steps and I fall down. You know, it's funny how that works, but I know with you have, you know, had different obstacles, and you know, look at what you're doing with the show.
Thank you.
And you know, you're on PBS, you have your book out, you know, I mean, it's about...
Not on PBS, I'm on Fox.
Oh, on Fox.
Close enough. PBS is next.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I could say PBS and they wouldn't know the difference, and
right.
now it's out there.
It's okay,
so
I'll be on PBS is next.
You didn't see it, or say it. But really, the gift, I think, that you and I have is to be able to give permission for people to be able to say, circumstances do not define me unless I allow it.
Shift happens.
It does.
I said shift with an F. So.
Yeah, close enough. But, you know, either way it stings.
Right.
You know, and it's not fun. It's not something to be happy about. Some of the feelings that I've had, I have what's called Garyisms. My clients have said I say things over and over, so
I love your Garyisms.
It became a book. But, you know, I would not wish my life onto anyone, but I would not change anything, because I wouldn't be the person I am today if I did.
I get it, I'm so with you on that.
And, you know, not that we could anyway, but I have seen people that have received a diagnosis, received a circumstance or a bankruptcy or, whatever it is that comes along. And they allow that circumstance to actually stop them
Take
from
over.
the life. They lose their life at that moment.
And I think part of it is just our conditioning, because there's so much negativity around. And I mean, it starts when we're growing up. Oh, don't touch that. Don't do that. Don't. So we have that conditioning inside of us. So when something goes wrong, I call it the what if down. We do the what if down, and we imagine worst case scenario. I like to do the what if up. And there's actually a really good book out. It's called What If It All Goes Right. I highly recommend it. And do the other way. I mean, the energy you spend and the time is exactly the same. But the outcome, much better.
Absolutely. It's really about, they say you cannot go forward looking in the rear view mirror. There was a book in college that I thought was really kind of funny. It said, the good old days, they weren't. And it was a history class that I took. And so, but we have that romantic, thoughts of the past, and if only, if I hadn't had that, or if I had only bought this stock, I'd be a multimillionaire or whatever. But what about today? What about the opportunities that we have right now before us? They make a difference for ourselves, our families, and I like to think about generations ahead of us.
Right.
Planting those seeds that turn into the oak tree that they get to enjoy the shade of, that we'll never even see the tree.
Oh, I like that, yeah. But yes, absolutely.
And that's a lot of fun.
It is.
Because we let go of results.
Don't attach to the outcome. That's my thing, And so I was diagnosed, I had my first episode of MS in 2003. That was when the whole Iraq thing was, so husband was deployed, I was super 360 some pounds. I was miserable, I was in pain and everything, a lot of stress. And I lost sight in my eyes. I could see shadows. And I was freaking out. 2 little kids, husband not home, it's like. So of course I go see my eye doctor and blah, blah, blah. And they send me we were in Germany, they sent me to the Uni Clinic in Erlangen. And they run all the eye tests, and MS kept going. And like, no, it's stress. For me, it was always stress. I never accepted the MS. Never. It's always stress. So, and in 2005, husband was home, and we were getting ready for a trip to see family in California from Germany. And it was stress. It was good stress, but it was still stress. My eyes started acting up again. And my neurologist in 2003 is like, well, I want to do a spinal test, and I want to do the testing. And I'm like, no, you're not touching me. My husband is not home, not happening. In 2005, Jeff was home. And I love him. He's always worried. He's like, you're going to go do this? I'm like, fine. He's not going to find anything. Well, they found whatever they find, so officially diagnosed.
Spots.
But no, actually, there's a virus. It's actually a virus.
Oh, okay.
And they find that in your spinal fluid. That's how. But I had the MRI and I had the lesions. One of my lesions did this, which is like, great! But I have the black holes. And I always laugh. I'm like, hang on. Connecting the dots. Literally connecting the dots, which is fun. Or when I forget something, it's like it got sucked in a black hole. Use it to your advantage if you have to. But I always said, for me, MS is not multiple sclerosis. I'm officially diagnosed with being mucho special.
Well, I've always said, hey, how many people have a telethon that it deals directly with who you are or the things you deal with?
Right. So I never accepted that either. And it's been working well. But I know so many people when you share a story, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, please don't. No, I'm not. Because of all of that, I am who I am. And we can overcome this because a lot is up in the head.
It is. And again, something you said just a second ago, it wasn't perfect. Nothing ever is.
No.
We think we should be,
Perfect is an illusion.
But we should on ourselves. We should do this. We should do that. And in doing that, we actually stop the opportunities. We don't see it. We create the scartomas, the blind spots, in our environment. And when we do that, we're limiting the outcomes that are already there.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I use this as I'm the subject but not the message. And it's, in a weird way, I said, you know, giving people permission, I don't believe they need permission from me. They feel like they need permission because it's been ingrained in our society, in grade school, you know, elementary
all
school.
around. And not just in the US. Grew up in Germany, same thing. It's a human thing.
Well, you had to raise your hand to go to the bathroom, you had to raise, you know, just to speak or whatever. And that is carried over into our adult lives. And so when that happens and they get that permission, they only need it once.
You have permission.
You have permission.
We're giving you permission.
And really to engage. See, now here's the challenge there. When we are given permission to engage ourselves, now it's on our responsibility shoulders.
That ugly R word?
The ugly R word.
Oh. Take responsibility, guys.
And so there's another R word that is associated with that, and that's risk.
That's an ugly four-letter word for most people.
But there's a third word that's related to that, and that's reward. And so there is no reward without risk.
So is that where no guts, no glory comes from?
No guts, no glory. And the glory sometimes we think is an egotistical thing too, and it's not.
No.
It's about owning the goodness, if you will, or the abilities that you have, and all you're doing is using them. And now you're going to have haters. You're going to have people that will shoot at you. I remember Bob Harrington. He was back in the 70s. His moniker was the chaplain of Bourbon Street down in New Orleans. And one of the things he said, he had his own, you know, Bobisms, if you will. But he would rather be out in front getting goosed than in the pack doing the goosing.
Right.
And so it's normal.
I love that you said that at your boot camp, and you said it again at the speaker boot camp, and I love that, and it's absolutely true.
But we think sometimes when that is happening, we think we're doing something wrong. Because it's, and here's the other secret, when people are shooting at us, it's 99.9% never about us.
No, it's not.
It's about them. They're wanting to bring us back into their comfort zone, because if we do certain things, I've had people for years that say, you left me. And I said,
you didn't come along.
You didn't come along.
And I get that. I have a lot of people like that too.
You know, in the book Good to Great, it's a phenomenal book. You should get it.
Yes, it is a great book.
The analogy there is you get on the bus. There is plenty of room on the bus, but you have to choose. You have to choose to get on it.
Right.
And they always say that, you know, there's plenty of room at the top because very few people choose to go there.
And the view is magnificent, let me tell you.
And when you get to the top, what is exciting for me, there's always a new top. Because in reality, unlike Mount Everest, which I've been fascinated with my entire life, is the more that I know, the more that I know that I don't know. There's always an additional awareness, an additional, you know, something to bring in, a different angle. There's always, in my word that I've incorporated for me for the rest of my life, is the word expansion.
I love that.
And for me, it's now about leaving a legacy, leaving tidbits and nuggets that can be used for generations and generations. And again, it's not about me, but it's about, does it work for me and you and someone else? Why wouldn't I want to leave that instead of having somebody, my grandkids, my great-great-grandkids, beat their heads against the wall going, I wish my great-great-grandpa had told me he did it, you know, why can't it?
Right.
I just want to leave it for them. It's more of that legacy and paying it forward in a really unique way.
And you know, and that's what I love about people like you and me. The things we do and we've overcome, it's like it's something that happened, and it happened for us. I look at it as for us, so we can share with others and help others really overcome and be a better version of themselves and discover things and look at us. They're like, well, they can do it, I can do it.
Right.
Do it with attitudes, like, you know.
I want to be Mikey. You know, you've heard me say when people look at me and they go, who are you? And I go, I'm the kid next door. And I just got back from Dallas being with very influential people, and I kept saying, you know, who are you? Who are you? And there was a producer, a documentary producer I was introduced to, and they hadn't introduced my name. She goes, well, what's your name? And I said, I'm Gary Burns. She goes, whoa, you said that with authority. And I went, I mean, it was 10 o'clock at night, and I'm just like, I had the name for a long time, I just, really wanted to share it. But for some reason, it came through, and we're looking at doing something together now. And
That's awesome.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but, it's those serendipity moments about being uniquely you, being humble enough to be seen.
Right.
That doesn't really...
Don't hide in the background.
Yeah, humble is not meek.
Right.
Humble is not believing in your own PR.
Right.
Because when you start believing all of the things you've done and whatever, look at me, yeah, you really are in trouble. But, if you own it, why not share it? If it's something that's a part of you, it's just part of your story.
Exactly.
It doesn't make you better than, it makes you different from. And when you do it in that way, people are curious, people want to know. And I love sitting next to people on an airplane. And because I'm always digging in and finding out who they are and where they came from.
Right.
And there's so many people that just have never had anyone interested in their story. And there's phenomenal stories out there.
Well, because most people are too busy looking at their phones. Put the phone down.
And also WIIFM.
What's in it for me?
For me. I mean, it's that myopic, the world is right here when this doesn't even exist.
Right.
You have a globe on your desk, I just saw. I mean, it's really cool. It turns, it's with the magnetism of the...
It goes with the magnetic earth field, and it's amazing, yeah.
It's really cool. But the thing that is totally wrong on that globe, do you know what it is?
I have no idea.
The lines.
I never paid attention.
There are no lines in the world, on the earth. From space, there are no lines.
Oh.
The lines on your globe on your desk are artificial. It's man-made, man-created.
Huh. I pay attention.
So we think of borders, and what are the borders that we have put on ourselves, on our family, on our children.
Valid point.
And so it's always been amazing to me and it wasn't my awareness. I heard somebody else talk about, from space there are no borders. I mean, it was one of those...
And there aren't. And on the internet, there are no borders.
Yeah, I've always asked, where does the internet live? I'd like to go to the home office.
I know, right?
No, we're in this board reality, all interconnected.
Maybe we are in the Matrix.
Well,
anyway, that's a whole other show.
That's another show. But when we realize the only limitations are self-imposed limitations, and will I ever run in the Olympics? Yeah, probably not.
Would you want to, though?
Oh, I don't know. It's never been a goal until it was, adjusted. But one of the things that I fly, and I flew a P-51 World War II fighter. I love flying. I have a friend that was in 4 Olympics.
I fly on the Autobahn and the interstate.
There you go. I was flying on the freeway today, but I didn't get caught. But I have a friend that was in 4 different Olympics in 4 different decades in the luge.
Oh, wow.
And so one of the things I've always wanted to do is a 4-man toboggan, or, toboggan run. And I was on a flight a number of years ago, and there was a little reader ad. And it talked about this 4-man toboggan at Lake Placid, where they have professionals as a brakeman and a driver, and 2 novices, people that would have money, sit in the middle and just hang on for dear life, and, you just want to get to the bottom of one piece. And Ruben Gonzalez is the athlete. He actually lives here in Colorado.
Oh, nice.
And he's spoken at my events. He's a great guy. But he was in my audience, and I was telling that story. He goes, "Hey, Gary," he interrupts me. And he goes, "Why are you going to Lake Placid? Let's go to Salt Lake and go to whatever the Olympic Village is there. And your driver will be the driver of Cool Running, of the Jamaican bobsled team." But so...
I love the movie. That's like one of my favorite movies.
But think about it. Do I want to drive, or do I want the experience? What is the benefit of what I want? I don't fly by myself because I don't want to endanger myself or anybody in the air or anybody on the ground.
Thank you.
But I actually fly the plane, but I have somebody else with me. So if something does happen...
They can take over.
They can take over. So what experience do you want? What experience do you want that you think is there for others, but not for you? You know,
like that.
let's build that, you know, we talk about the bucket list, what that bucket list is.
Right.
And how many people have actually done it early enough in life to be able to go do the things that they have always wanted to do
Few
and never
people.
had permission?
For people.
And, you know, that's really, in my mind, a sin.
It is. I agree.
It's like, it's, you know, no matter what the belief is, right now it's what we know we have.
And you know, and the thing too is, I mean, we are what we say we are. If you know, if you take ownership of a disease, a disability, whatever it is, your shortcomings, that's what you are, and that's what you emit out into the world. And whatever you put out, you get back, because it's a law of attraction, law of vibration, law of attraction. You know, and you get it back tenfold. So change. Pay attention to the thoughts. Pay attention to your words. And I still catch myself. It's just fortunately because I have the awareness, I catch myself faster most of the time. But it is just so, I mean, I just look at myself. Once I started changing my thinking, the things that have changed, and, you know, once I stopped shooting myself, which was last year, April 1st, I'm in awe of the doors that are opening, the connections I'm making, the things that I'm experiencing. And that's what I want you guys to do. You know, take inventory of your life. Don't say, I have this, that, and the other, or this, and why is this happening to me, and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't do anything for you. Acknowledge it. You know, it's like, man, this sucks. Now what can I do?
Right.
To move forward. If you adopt that attitude, and you can say, man, this sucks, and I say that, because stuff happens to me still, and I'm like, oh, this sucks. And I go, what's the lesson here? What do I need to learn? What can I take away from this? How do I move forward?
Right.
And that's really all we can do, but we can only do this right now in this very moment.
You know, one of the things that is one of the most common obstacles, and it's actually one of the obstacles that, I hate saying it this way, but I wish it on the people, because it's the one thing that you can change rapidly. And that's finances. It's money.
Right.
And so many people feel like, okay, I'm only worth so much. I'm dictated by the environment. You know, the corporate model is always so interesting to me, because they only pay so much for someone not to quit, and the employee only produces so much so they don't get fired. It's
Right.
an adversarial system. But what is the difference between broke and poor?
Mindset.
Okay, there's something else. A poor is a mindset. Broke is a point in time.
Oh,
Broke is what's in your checkbook.
did you guys get that? That is big.
You just go, okay, it just happens to be not enough money, or not as much money, or whatever. That number, by the way, if the number's too small, add a zero. If it's too big, subtract a zero. In the end, it's all zeros. The money, the numbers are all made up.
Right.
I mean,
It's all made up.
In the day, it was seashells and stones and whatever. I mean, that was, quote, money. And so what is that exchange of value? If we change that mindset to what is valuable that I can give to someone else that they would want to exchange, what we call money. But that mindset of being poor is what keeps people stuck.
Right.
When we realize, hey, I'm broke today, tomorrow, you know, it's going to show up, and that goes back to the manifesting.
Right.
And so,
Manifest big, because if you ask for $1,000, you only get $1,000.
and I think the main reason that most people don't go there is they don't want to be disappointed.
Oh, I agree.
You know,
I agree.
And that fear of disappointment is guaranteeing the disappointment. Because they're not going to change.
Well, and it's not just that, but that feeling and that emotion of disappointment is bigger than you wanting what you want.
Yes.
And whatever emotion is bigger is the one that wins out.
Yes.
With the law of attraction, law of vibration. It's that simple.
Well, neuro-linguistic programming, you know, the thing that Tony Robbins has promoted forever is the pain-pleasure equation. Is that your pleasure has to be bigger than the pain to get to the pleasure, or to get across the adversity, to get through the pain.
How bad do you want it?
And because if that pleasure is not bigger than the pain, you will back off, and momentarily it will feel pleasurable.
Right.
Because it's like going to the gym. I no longer hurt from going to the gym, but if I don't do that, yeah, my ultimate outcome is not gonna be what I really want.
Mm-hmm.
And so making that future vision to me is going into that future and making it so real that you can see it, taste it, and feel it. Planting a stake in the ground
Yep.
at that point, put it in rubber band, and bringing that back to your present day.
Mm-hmm.
And allow that vision to pull you towards it.
Yep.
I have my 100th birthday party planned out on skydiving. You know, I do weird things, but, you know, it's really one of those things that, why not?
Right. No, I love that. I absolutely love that. I can talk to you like for days and weeks and forever, but our time is up.
Yes.
It's like, I don't want it to stop. Well, it's my show. Technically, I could keep going, but
No, you know, but there's, you know, it's not goodbye, it's
It's-
until the next time.
till next time. Exactly, because I just started the show in July,
Yes,
and was it last week I think, or 2 weeks or whenever ago, I posted episode number 40
nice.
already. So, and I was thinking maybe for the 50th, I'm gonna do a little party
There you go.
because I'm a girl and I can.
Well, it doesn't matter, you can celebrate.
Always celebrate. The small, the big, the everything. Celebrate. Gary, thank you so much for coming down, for being here, for sharing your story, for sharing you, for being you. And that's just like, you're my people. So,
Thank you so much for having me. It was
Anytime.
really a pleasure. You
anytime.
know, and for those watching, I just, you know, I would like to hear the stories. You know, send your stories
Yes.
to Beanie.
Come,
Because-
message me because,
That's what it's all about. This is not just something we're doing just
No.
because we want to be on camera.
no,
It's making a difference.
right. And it's giving hope, adding value, letting you know you're not alone, making you smile, making you laugh, and adding just helping you to have a better life.
Yes.
Really. It's like, it's the small decisions that we make every day.
Jim Rohn
And-
said, small hinges swing big doors.
There you go. I love Jim Rohn. I listened to him a long time ago. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, for watching, and talk to you next time. As always, be happy, be kind, be loved, and take care. Bye.